Hi, this is a short video just detailing the security model in CRM 2015. It includes discussions on business units, teams, users and security roles, and generally how they interact with each other to provide the security of the out-of-the-box system in CRM. So essentially it's just configuration that you need to do to be able to get this working. So essentially we're going to start with the root business unit, which is this one here that I'm selecting. So essentially you can't delete this and you also can't disable it. It acts like your organisation basically. You can rename it, so I've renamed mine, and it's the only business unit that doesn't require a parent business unit that's linked to it. You'll see that the other ones do. Any business units you create can be deleted, disabled and renamed as well. Essentially also when you create another business unit, what it also does is it also creates what's normally called as default teams. So they're kind of slightly different than manually created teams. Essentially kind of they're quite good at what they do because they group the users that are assigned to that business unit all in one place. So if you ever need to share a record or a group of records to any users in a certain business unit, it's normally best to use the default teams rather than just create another one for the same purpose. You can't delete a default team. It removes itself when you delete the business unit as well. If you do try to delete a default team, it will come up with an error. So say for example, this is one of my default teams. If I try to delete this, this is the default business unit team, cannot be deleted. So starting with business units, essentially business units are work on a hierarchy. So you have your root, and then you specify when you create more business units, you specify that parent, you can see here that I've created 6 new business units. So that's my root business unit, and I've got 6 there that I've created. So there's only one, so the 5 that I've actually created, the root business unit's the parent, and I've created another one where off-world relations is the parent of command. So we've got 5 children of the root and then another child of one of those. So once you've got your business unit structure in place, I'm not going to do it too complicated, but obviously you can make this as complicated or as simple as you want. We'll go on to security roles. So you have 15 security roles that are created out of the box when CRM is installed, and they're all created under the root business unit. So what this means is essentially all of the out-of-the-box roles, as well as any new roles that you create that are under the root business unit, will be accessible to all other business units, because it works in kind of a double hierarchy security roles. So you've kind of got the when you specify a business unit, when you create a security role, you're basically saying I want it to be available at this business unit and its children. And obviously any business role is indirectly or directly related to the root business unit. However, it kind of starts to get interesting when you start then adding more security roles to the new business units that you've created. So I've created, so you can see now, I've actually created the off-world relations role. And the business unit's the off-world relations business unit. So what this means is for that essentially any user that is at the root business unit doesn't have access to this business role. They only have access to those that are at the root level, and that's what I mean by the double hierarchy. So security roles work so that all the security role that I've just created is available at the off-world relations and the command business unit because that's its child. However, it's secure in the way that anything above the off-world relations business unit doesn't have access to it, that isn't related to it, essentially. It also works so that I've got the business unit of command under off-world relations. So I've actually got another one. So I've actually made this one, and you can see those that are at the command business unit will have access also to the command role. So finishing what I was saying just a moment ago, those that have the business unit of command will be able to access command. However, those with the business unit of off-world relations won't be able to access command because that's where it starts to get more secure. Essentially, the deeper you go, the more secure it gets. Then finally, you have teams. Teams are created with a particular business unit. However, let's just, so you can see I've created the command team. No, that's the default team. I've created an actual separate comms team, and I've put the comms business unit there. So they're created with a particular business unit. And the thing is that the business unit in Teams only serves as a marker to what security roles that team has access to, as I discussed earlier. So the comms business unit only has access to the out-of-the-box business roles because I haven't actually created any extra security roles. However, if I was to go to off-world relations, for example, you'll see that the extra one there is available for the team to select. However, a user, it does depend kind of what model you kind of want to use. You can use the full model, but some people don't use teams. A user has a business unit, and teams aren't mandatory. If you were to only use the user model of the security in CRM, you will be limited so that a user will only have access to the security roles in their specific business unit or higher in the hierarchy. So, for example, you go to me, I'm at the CRM CAT business unit. You'll see that I don't have access to the off-world relations or the command security role. However, if I was to go to Jane, she's at the off-world relations business unit. You can see that she has access to the off-world relations role just there. However, if you were to use Teams as an addition to the user and the security roles, what you could possibly do, because a business unit's a Teams business unit and a user's business unit aren't connected, all they are it essentially dictates what security roles they each have available to them. You can actually layer that so that, say for example, I didn't have access to the off-world relations role. However, if I was in a team that was made under the business unit off-world relations, then it would mean that, and then added to that team, it would mean then I would get an extra layer of security that actually I wouldn't have access to at the user level. So kind of by using a combination of both the user and the team model, you can actually enhance the security model quite effectively. As an example of that scenario, I've added the role to the off-world relations manually created team of off-world relations role, and I've added myself to it of the business unit CRM CAT. So you can see it really doesn't matter what business unit the user and the team are. However, you do need to think about the combination of security roles that can give. Obviously, if this is planned, then excellent. However, you have to be careful and be aware of this, because it could unintentionally lead to people having increased permissions when they aren't supposed to. The last thing that I just wanted to show you was the just how kind of complex that it can get. Is that essentially I've got Bob here. He's at the command business unit, and he has access to the command role and the off-board relations role. Now, the command role is specifically at the command business unit. However, which is the parent, which is a child of the off-board relations, and the off-board relations is the parent to the command business unit, and he has access to both. However, Jane, who's only at off-board relations, so she's at the parent that's linked to the child of command. She doesn't have access to the command, so this is where it starts getting more secure, and this is where I meant that it can act like a double hierarchy. Essentially, the security roles act going downward in terms of availability, but upwards in security. So that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Any questions, then please let me know on my blog.